Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. It's that time of the week once again when the weekly challenges go ahead and refresh. We're off the back of a couple of fairly decent weeks overall. Unfortunately, this week is just a bit weaker in terms of reward. It is full monetary gain, so if you're in for some cash, then, well, this one is going to be for you. There is a saving grace though. The all JGTC event does actually return as another special event, this time at Suzuka. So let's have a look what's on offer for July week 2. As you can see, all monetary rewards this week. For one event it's 100k, 3 events is 200k, and 5 events is the typical 500,000 credits. Completing all of these events will net you way over 1 million credits in around about 40 to 45 minutes top, so really not too bad for the time invested and the return you're going to get on it. In terms of the events, we're going to start off this week with this Sunday Cup Classic over at Monza. Then we move on to the American Sunday Cup 600, this time over at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. We then have the VGT Trophy over at Kyoto Driving Park, Yamajiwa. Then on to the Hypercar Parade over at Circuit de St Croix C layout, which is of course the longest of the layouts, one of the longer tracks in GT7. And then of course we have the all JGTC Championship, which is returning as a special event, this time at Suzuka Circuit. That is going to be a limited time online event that is going to stay in game for the next week or so, and then it will disappear until it reappears a little later on down the line. Great to see that one return. For me, that is the saving grace this week. In terms of the rewards though, really not too much to offer unless you're desperately in need of credits. So with the overview out the way and done with, let's head over to event number 1 for this week. This is going to be the Sunday Cup Classic over at Monza. This is one of the post-launch Sunday Cup Classic events. It was released when the Alfa Romeo Giulia, I believe, got released. In terms of the event itself, it's a 2-lap sprint, and of course with it being in the classic road cars, we won't have to worry about anything such as fuel or tyre life. Now again, I'm going to run these on the hardest difficulty and try and keep my car in line with any recommendations or car classes. You can pretty much use anything here if you want to though, so if you really want to get this one done as quick as possible, feel free to just jump in the Ferrari VGT or something and get this one done and dusted. In terms of the event though, honestly I don't think you'll have too much trouble. There is a couple of cars to watch out for though, I'll be totally honest, if you are around this range. The main ones are going to be the Citroen Palaces and of course the Alfa Romeo itself, which is much quicker than anything else on the grid. Just note that a lot of the cars will not be an issue and you'll probably overtake them pretty early into the event. The main reason for this is the fact that the Fiat 500s and the Samba buses do like to hold up the rest of the AI. So easy pickings early on, but as you get further into the event, you'll probably notice that the rest of the AI do tend to get much quicker. Again, mainly the Citroens and of course the Alfa Romeo, which will be typically leading the event and will probably be the only one that will definitely give you a run for your money if you're aiming to be in these, classic cars like you are supposed to be. So apart from that, there really is nothing else to mention in terms of relative tips or tricks for this event. It's super simple, super easy, you should get this one done no problems at all. Well, it is a Sunday Cup after all. In terms of the reward, well of course you're going to bag the standard set reward, which is typically low for these Sunday Cup races, and of course you're going to get the first tick of the week done and dusted, which is going to award you with 100,000 credits on top of the standard reward. Not too bad, 145k altogether after around about 4 minutes of racing. I'm not really complaining. With that done and dusted, let's move on to event number 2 for the week. This is of course going to be, well, as mentioned, the American Sunday Cup 600. This time a little bit different from the previous Sunday Cup. This is aimed at American cars only, built to around about 600 pp specification over at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. This event was added in conjunction with the Corvette C1, so of course that car is going to appear, and that's really what it's aiming for. There's a mixture between sort of classic American muscle cars and then some semi-modern cars mixed in, so just be aware that it's going to be a bit of a mixed bag of a grid. In terms of the AI, there's not many of them, only 9 in total, 10 including yourself, so it's a relatively spread out and small smaller grid. Most of your overtakes will probably be done in a straight line. I went for the standard Dodge Charger Hellcat, I believe it is, and in terms of the event itself, it was an absolute breeze. There is still a couple of cars I would recommend keeping an eye out on. You'll probably notice that they'll go in certain groups. Once you've got past the classics, there's a high chance you'll have the likes of the Dodge Viper and some of the more modern American muscle cars up front. However, by the time I managed to get past the Dodge Viper, it wasn't able to get past the classic cars that you will typically see starting to fall back in the latter stages of this event. So the earlier you can get past that Viper, the better it is for you, as that car does tend to shoot itself up through the grid, so just keep your eye on that one. In terms of the event though, again, we're not worrying about tyres or fuel, so you should get this one done and dusted nice and easy for tick number 2 of the week. In terms of the payout without clean race bonus, 40,000 credits for this one, for around about, again, 3 to 4 minutes of your time. Not too bad at all. Moving on to event number 3, a little bit longer in length than usual. This is the VGT Trophy over at Kyoto Driving Park Yamajiwa. So the rules and regulations for this one are actually set in stone, so of course it must be a VGT type vehicle and it must be 850 pp or less. I went for the Genesis VGT, it's one of my personal favourites in game, hence why I'm pretty looking forward to the Grand Racer coming in with this month's update. In terms of the majority of the AI though, they are pretty easy. It does suffer from the fact that the VGT category of cars is so broad and diverse that there's a massive bunch of gaps between different groups of cars. You'll probably overtake the slow ones pretty easily, and probably at most by the end of lap 2, even if you are, off the pace completely, you should get those ones done and dusted. You'll then notice there's a fairly sizable gap between the rest of the field and from P3 onwards. Once you get to around about P4, you're going to have to chase down the front leading pack of cars. They are typically much faster than anything else on the grid. So once you do start making your way through the grid and you manage to move yourself into 4th, just be prepared to be on an absolute charge to start chasing down the rest of the field. As you can see, at the end of lap 2 I'd already managed to get myself into 4th, and it still took another couple of laps to get myself into a P3 and onto the podium. At that point it was the Peugeot, and then we move on to the 2 front runners. Now this is going to be the Porsche VGT and the Jaguar VGT. If you do end up with the Jaguar in your event, just be aware that thing is lightning fast around here. I don't know why this car's completely suiting this layout, but it just seems to. Its acceleration is absolutely ridiculous. The only thing that's going to give you easy pickings on this car is the fact that the AI will tend to brake pretty much on every single corner. Just use that to your advantage and then try and outrun it before it starts putting that battery power down and completely rockets off into the distance. You should be able to get this one done without too many issues. Just bear in mind though that the Porsche and the Jaguar are insanely quick, so ensure that you're getting towards the higher point of that PP limit, the 850. In terms of the payout, it's relatively low for this one without the clean race bonus. 90,000 credits, it's really not worth your time at all, but that is going to give us a 4-star daily marathon, and then of course the 3-star or free reward ticket, should I say, which is going to be the 200,000 credits. That's going to move us on to event number 4, a little bit shorter this time. It's the Hypercar Parade. Probably going to take you around about 10 minutes total. Of course, with this one, it's all about showing off the hypercars in game. This one's set at Circuit de St Croix C. In terms of the length of this track, it is one of the longer tracks in game, and it's also a very, very fast track towards the back end of it. If I had to give you a recommendation for this, since there is a PP limit set in stone, which I believe is something like 900, I'm pretty sure it's on the higher end, I can't remember exactly. I would recommend going for a car that is capable of insane top speeds. Again, you want to kind of sacrifice the cornering capability where you can sort of just kind of sit in the slipstream and stuff and then completely blast it around the big long straights around here. I do find that that is the best way to tackle this circuit and the best way to match the AI around here. The main leading cars are typically the ones that have got very, very high top end, whilst they will sort of drop off through the tight and twisty sections just like you will be doing and just like I was doing here in the Chiron. The rest of the time you are able to absolutely get your foot down and build up a pretty sizable lead. As you can see, we're still on lap 1, but we're coming to the main straight section here where we can hit our peak top speed, and we're just going to absolutely launch out of that corner and carry on absolutely charging until we overtake the Bugatti Veyron and get ourselves into contention for the overall win. At this point, again, we're just going to try and charge on for the rest of the race. We managed to build up a plus 10-second lead, and well, it was just done and dusted in no time. So there we go, not too bad. I would recommend a top speed car for that one. Tick number 4 of the week, and with the clean race bonus, you're going to net yourself 135,000 credits. Not really too bad at all. However, let's move into the best event of the week, and for me, the saving grace of the week as well. Of course, I'm talking about the All Japan JGTC Championship, which is coming back as a special event, this time at Suzuka Circuit, my personal favourite circuit in the entirety of GT7. However, it's going to be a little bit different in terms of strategy this time. Again, whilst the last event was over at Fuji, where it's actually relatively easy to get overtakes done, this time it's going to be at Suzuka, which is the complete opposite. It's very notorious for getting overtakes done. You do find that cars tend to take up a lot of room through sections of the track here, and I did find that this one was much more of a challenge than the previous event. You'll find the likes of the McLarens very, very quick here, and I'm mainly referring to the long tail, and also the Honda NSX, the one driven by Gallo, can also be very, very quick. You want to put yourself on a set of softs, so I'm using the GT500 Skyline GTR. Now, in terms of the car itself, it doesn't have any upgrades on apart from those racing softs, and I do recommend going for that. Now, of course, we don't have fuel and tyre life. That is because it's a mixture of race cars and road cars, so it just wouldn't be fair since we don't have a, race fuel tank conversion for any of these road cars, so we can't really be on a competitive level there, and it would completely ruin the JGTC vibes. But in terms of your overtaking, just get them done and dusted as quick as possible. You'll probably then notice once you get to around about P3, there's going to be a fairly sizable gap. Now, the main cars you want to watch out for, like I mentioned, are the long tail McLaren driven by Mizuno and Gallo's Honda NSX. They do seem to be absolute outright the fastest around here. Again, there may be the possibility that there's a gap to both of them, but if you do manage to overtake Gallo quick enough, you only then have to really worry about one of the cars, which is the long tail McLaren. So in terms of my race, I did manage to get myself into P2 by lap 3, and we're around about the midway point at that point. I didn't actually catch the first place AI until lap 7. That thing is typically lapping around about 2 minutes to 2-minute 1. As you can see, our fastest laps and our average laps have been around about a 1:59 once we've kind of broken out of the traffic, and that is really what you want to be aiming for if you want to go ahead and actually beat this thing. Just be aware with it being a Group 2 machine, it's insanely fast through the corners, it's got incredible grip, and it's very, very good in a straight line as well. It will pretty much be able to beat you everywhere. The only thing that's going to give you a win over this thing, if you're kind of matching the whole, Super GT, JGTC vibe, is actually the fact of your own driving skill. In all honesty, that long tail McLaren is the fastest thing on track by absolutely far. It's insanely quick, so just be on your toes and get ready to absolutely push towards the end of the event. As you can see, the gap in the end only 0.4 of a second. But in the end, we did manage it, and that's going to give us tick number 5 of the week. 150,000 credit payout for this one. Without the clean race bonus, it's very easy to lose that around Suzuka, especially with the tight overtaking. And of course, the 500,000 credits for completing all 5 events this week. So let's head over and go ahead and open up all of the rewards that have been offered for this week's weekly challenges. For our daily marathon, we got a 4-star roulette ticket, so of course this is going to be probably one of the weaker rewards in the game. As you can see, there's the likes of the Aston Martin Invite, engine swaps and turbochargers. Unfortunately for me though, I'm going to end up with the Aston Martin Invite, which I already have every car in the game, so I'm not too bothered about that one. We're then going to add the credits, so we've got 100,000 credits, 200,000 credits, and of course for completing all events, 500k. Not too bad in around about 40 to 45 minutes if you're just wanting the credits. So there you have it, another week of weekly challenges done and dusted. Let me know what rewards you got from your daily marathon, and let me know how you managed to get on this week. Anyway, before we end the video, I just want to give a quick apology if my commentary does seem a bit off or a bit lousy or I sound a bit breathless. I do work in healthcare, so unfortunately I am exposed to all sorts of illnesses on a daily basis, and unfortunately I've now got COVID for the third time in around about 2 years, I believe. So I am really not too bad in myself. It's just mainly the fatigue, the breathlessness, the running out of energy sort of thing. So if my commentary is a bit off, I do apologize for that. Hopefully over the next few days it should pick up and improve. So again, just a heads up, if it does sound a little bit off today, that's the reason why. But apart from that, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and a fantastic rest of your weekend once it does begin, wherever you may be. Take care, guys.